Your .NET API is probably wide open right now, and hackers are probably probing at it as we speak. So I've seen companies lose a lot because they skip some basic security steps that would have taken less than an hour to implement. So after 25 years of building secure systems, I can tell you that most .NET developers are making the same mistakes over and over again. So the worst part, these aren't complex security issues. They're simple fixes that Microsoft has already built into the framework. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to lock down your .NET APIs and your web apps, and with some concrete steps that will immediately boost your security posture. These aren't theoretical concepts. This is exact security checklist that I've been using for Fortune 500 companies. Let's dive in. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomas, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right, so as I was saying, you've got to work to secure your .NET API and web applications, and it doesn't have to be complicated, but it does require a little bit of attention to detail and implementing several layers of protection. So let's go into some of the critical security measures you need to implement right now. So the very first thing is you've got to make sure that you have authentication to verify who the user is, and while the authorization determines what they're allowed to do, you absolutely need for both for any products with APIs, right? So the most common mistake I see developers make is using authorized attributes or controller classes, but forgetting to add them to individual action methods, creating security holes. So you want to come up with a role-based and claim-based security, which give you fine-grained control, but I recommend starting with simple role checks and expanding as your application grows. Now, I can tell you the biggest authentication vulnerability is allowing anonymous access to endpoints that should be protected, which happens when developers are rushing to ship features. It's not complicated. Decorate the controller with an authorized method, this authorized token. And if you do this, you use your JWT tokens or JWT tokens, which are industry standards for API authentication. And this makes it so that it's very simple, and Microsoft's built this in with just some very simple decorators. So you've got to be using authentication and authorization. Now, the next one is you got to validate your inputs, right? Every single field request must be validated before it touches your business logic, with no exception. You've got to have model validation, and I've seen a lot of SQL injection attacks happen even in 2025 because developers assume entity frameworks would protect them. So your validation should happen at multiple layers. You're never going to regret having this at multiple layers. And there's a .NET Fluent validation library that's my go-to for some complex validation rules that makes it really easy. Now, next is you got to use HTTPS everywhere, no exceptions, right? And you definitely want to use HTTPS with the latest TLS to make sure that you're doing using all this, right? So never, ever, ever use anything other than HTTPS with TLS, right? Now, one of the next one is you got to make sure that you're using CORS, which is Cross-Origin Resource Sharing, or CORS as an acronym, and it's one of the most misunderstood security features, with many developers treating it as an annoying obstacle rather than a critical protection. The biggest mistake I see developers getting frustrated with CORS errors and then just allowing requests from all origins with a wildcard, essentially disabling a security feature. So always explicitly whitelist specific trusted origins. For example, if you're doing CORS builder with origins, you would then allow these different things from like the domains that you know that your web app is going to be coming from. So if you're using Angular or React on your front end, then you always want to make sure you just whitelist just those to be allowed to talk to your API. So CORS is a browser security feature that prevents malicious websites from making requests to your API with the user's credentials. So for maximum security, always restrict the HTTP methods and headers that are allowed via CORS. Now, next, security headers are your first line for defense. Security headers are like free protection for your application. They take minutes to implement, but provide substantial security benefits. So at minimum, every .NET application should include these: X content type options, X frame options, and XSS protections, and content security policy. So implementing security headers in .NET is super straightforward with middleware. You just add a simple use statement that appends headers to each response. Now, I've seen cross-site scripting attacks completely neutralized by properly configuring security headers, even when the underlying vulnerability hasn't been patched. Now, next, Swagger is an incredible tool for API documentation and testing during development. And I always like to leave this on test. And when you first are deploying your application, it's fine to leave it on in production for a little bit while you might work through your rollouts, right? But if you have to have Swagger, you've got to make sure that you turn it off in production, right? You want to make sure that, and I've seen a lot of production APIs where I can go check and I see their Swagger enabled. Now, because this makes it so that you can hit any URL and hit /Swagger at the end of it and pull up their Swagger. And it just gives more attack surface for attackers to get in there. It gives all the signatures of your APIs so that you don't even have to guess or don't have to try to collect them through the web app. And this just makes it way too easy. You're just giving way too easy of a playbook for your hackers. Turn off Swagger in production. It just is going to save you a ton, right? The next one is you want to have secure configuration management. Never, ever, ever store secrets, connection strings, or API keys directly in your code or in the app settings.json. And this that get committed into your source control. Use a key vault or AWS secret manager, or a minimum environment variable should be used for all sensitive configurations. Use the .NET secret manager tool during development to keep secrets out of your code base. Configuration values should be strongly typed using IOPTION pattern rather than accessed as a raw string. Right? So treat your configuration as code by implementing validation that runs at startup to ensure all required values are present and properly formatted. So I've consulted for multiple companies who had to rotate all their credentials and keys after accidentally pushing secrets to GitHub, or if when an employee leaves, right? Now, next one is you got to make sure you implement proper logging and monitoring. Without comprehensive logging and monitoring, you won't know if your API is under attack until it's too late. Log all the authentication events, use structured logging like Serolog or Nlog, and set up alerts for suspicious patterns like multiple failed logins. So this is a huge one, and you want to make sure you get this, right? Now, next one is you got to do some SQL injection protection, and there's a couple of different ways you can do this. Like I said, you can look at some of the validation right at the controller level. Entity Framework is a great one, but I actually use Dapper, and as long as you're using Dapper and use parameterized queries, it's actually going to protect against this so that somebody can't inject a full like insert or delete or something like that, or drop a table, right? So the most dangerous SQL injection vulnerabilities come from quick fixes where developers bypass ORMs for performance reasons, and generally it's not even that much more performance. So security is not a one-time task. You definitely want to be checking this regularly. You can use an automated security scanning tool like OWASP Zap, which is a really good one, or also some commercial alternatives. But the OWASP Zap tool is free. It's pretty easy to use, and you can actually build it right into your pipeline. But at minimum, you should be running this quarterly. Update your .NET packages regularly. This is a huge one that makes it really easy to get an outdated package that has security vulnerabilities that get patched for free. All you got to do is just pull it down and use it. Do regular pen testing. Get your developer to run a spike against your code and see where they can find attack surfaces, right? Most successful attacks exploit known vulnerabilities. So you could have been prevented that just by giving a developer a chance to poke around at it. So if you are unsure, feel free to reach out to me at startuphack.com/Spencer, because I work with a lot of companies. I've helped do SOC audits as well as a lot of other security audits. We don't specialize necessarily in security, but I can help you from a developer's perspective, not just somebody who has security credentials. I can help you from the developer's perspective to work from the back to the front instead of the front to the back. A lot of security professionals will work from the front to the back. We actually can help you work from the back to the front, so I can help you see where there's some bad security practices. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I've missed some of the really important ones? One of the best compliments you can give me is to leave a comment down on the code. If nothing else, just even to say hi. I love having conversations, and I personally answer all the comments. So make sure you like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions. So reach out, because we'd love to help. Hit the links down below, or check out startuphack.com/Spencer today. And here's some other great information if you know anybody who's looking to become a software developer.
Want to become a software developer but don't want to spend 4 years in college and rack up massive student loan debts? Think you need technical expertise to get started? Welcome to Startup Hack, a better way to start your software career without student loans and years without income. One-on-one tutoring is included, so you never get stuck and have guidance through the whole process. No technical experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace and in your own space. Startup Hack has worked with local state agencies in your area to make it so that qualifying students can get the program costs covered entirely, and students can start earning while they learn.
Startup Hack's .NET Coding Bootcamp was a game changer for my career. As someone with no prior programming experience, I was initially intimidated by the idea of learning to code, but the instructors at Startup Hack broke down complex concepts into easy to understand lessons and provided hands-on projects that really cemented my understanding. The curriculum was comprehensive and up to date and got me ready for my first job. What really set Startup Hack apart was the focus on practical, real-world skills. Thanks to Startup Hack, I landed my dream job as a .NET developer within weeks of graduating. I went from knowing nothing about code to building professional-grade web applications in just a few intense months. If you're looking to break into .NET development or level up your coding skills, I cannot recommend Startup Hack enough.
Complete our 3-month coding bootcamp, gain hands-on experience, and land a paid internship. With 2 years of experience, on average, our graduates are making over $80,000 per year. The 3-month program includes technologies from Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. No debt, just a quick path to earning. Check out startuphack.com to code your future and start today.